Hello, survivors of the reselling apocalypse. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, if you're here watching this, you're still fighting the good fight. You're still surviving, at least I hope. And you're seeking out, either something to listen to in the background or some sort of, something that you can learn or be entertained. Hopefully I'll do a little bit of all three of those things. My name is Jeff. I'm a full-time reseller. I go by the nicknames Fro, Jeff Fro, Hey Fro. That's where that comes from. And today we're going to talk about, how many are there? 8 things I am doing to survive this reselling apocalypse that we are experiencing right now. And it is a little bit of an apocalypse. It's definitely the most challenging year of reselling I have been in, and people who have been doing this longer than me are basically confirming and saying the same thing. All I want to do is get through this year. Like, I remember thinking when we got to 2023 that I was glad 2022 was done. But 2023 has been the worst year of my life, mostly because my dog died in January. And it was a struggle for the last, 7, 8, 9 months prior to that. That's why I kind of was glad when that year was over, plus COVID, things opening up. But 2023 has been a bad year. It's been bad. It's been frustrating. I just want this year to be over with. So we're going to look at the 8 things. And a lot of these things aren't groundbreaking, but they're things that I'm doing. And hopefully for new subscribers who, can get some ideas. And I also want something from you guys. I like to assume eBay is watching our videos. Maybe they don't. Maybe they will in the future. Maybe they are. But I always like to act as if I'm speaking to them. And I think the comment section as well is a good way for you guys to give feedback directly to them. And so the question that I want to ask you, and I would like for you to answer, doesn't matter what I want, but I think it would be useful to answer, what are you doing in your business to make up for the inadequacies of eBay right now? Inadequacies of site issues, traffic issues, policy issues. Like, there's so many things that have happened on the platform this year that are questionable and damaging to the sellers of the platform. I firmly believe that. And it has caused many people to change course, cross list, have garage sales, antique malls, booths, antique booths, go back and get a job, go back to find work because they're not making money off of eBay. Not off of eBay, because they're not making money on the eBay platform. What are you guys doing? And how are those revenues that eBay is losing out on? I think it's very topical because their earnings are going to be coming out. It's going to be interesting to see what their earnings are and how Wall Street sees, the next couple quarters. Everything is always forward looking in the stock market. It's not what have you done for me right now. It's what are you gonna do in the next couple quarters to either accelerate your growth, turn slow growth around into more growth. It's never what, they could release crappy earnings, but if they present a strategy that Wall Street sees as one of growth and expansion, it could be perceived as positive and the stock could go up. It could have gone down last week because it's fear of bad earnings. But maybe when those earnings come out, maybe they won't be as bad. Wall Street it's an emotional roller coaster, I will say that. So, I've been really busy this weekend. Like, I wanted to make a video last night. I wanted to make it hours ago tonight, and it's just been one thing after another. It's been good busy. Like, it's been like local things, like local sales. I had recorded a few clips of things that I'll splice in throughout the video. I've got 4 sales here I'm going to show you guys. And then I'm going to read some comments that no particular order, just things that I felt were worth reading and maybe adding to. So it is very late. I've got my instant coffee here to keep me awake. I'm back to the vampire mode. But yeah, it was just super busy weekend for me, but like good busy. All right. So let's start with a couple things that have sold. I sold this Bryan Adams DVD. I have a ton of these and it wasn't listed. Like, I don't know how it wasn't listed. And so basically I was going through my Craigslist listings and I saw that it was there, but there was no picture in my listing. So I had to add the picture. Then I was like, let me double check on eBay to make sure, and it wasn't. So I listed this last night and it sold for $21 plus shipping. These 3 manga Yubasaki Milk Tea volumes 1 through 3 sold for $18 plus shipping on Hip Comics. That is just a comic website that I sell on. Dark Heresy, the Inquisitor's Handbook. I have no idea. It's something in the Warhammer genre. What did this sell for? It actually sold for a decent amount. $55 including shipping. And then this was the book that I pressed and I messed the before. Like, somehow I deleted the before, so it didn't really make any difference. And it came out just amazing. This sold for, I think it was 60. I basically bought a stack of comics like that big. Yeah, about that big. And I paid $35 for all of them. This sold for $63. I haven't even gone through them all. Like, I've probably only listed about 4 or 5% of what I bought at the last show. So those are all what sold, and then you're going to see some more after I'm done talking. So let's get into 8 things that I have done that I feel have helped me with sales, helped me get through this year, helped me be positive so far year over year. Number 1, don't be attached to your asking price. What do I mean by that? Like, I used to be, somebody would make me an offer and I would, maybe counter 10% below. Oh man, those were the days. And then, maybe there would be some back and forth, and then maybe eventually I would just decline because I'm just like, no, I'm not going to sell it that cheap. I'm just not going to do it. I would be so stubborn. And I don't know how I got to this point, but it basically is like, some things are going to sell for cheaper than what you might want them to be. Other things are going to sell for more than you thought that they would go for. And I think it all averages out in the wash. And I think it's all about flow and abundance. And when you're in that flow and you're in that vortex of abundance, it begets more. And, we've got to move inventory. We've got to move inventory for so many reasons. You want to be keeping sales going on in your account in case you ever get a defect. You can absorb, the more sales you have, you can absorb things like that. Obviously, you want to sell things to make money. You want to sell things so you make money so you can basically funnel it back into the business and be able to have money to buy more inventory. I think it's just, there's a fine line between knowing the value of your items, but then also knowing that Sometimes you give somebody a good deal, they're going to come back. They're going to remember that. Doesn't always happen that way, but putting yourself in that position, always a good thing. So don't sell your stuff too cheap, but don't be super strict on your asking price, because it really is, the value of something is determined by what any one person is going to pay in that moment. Number 2, have outs. Now, I'll give you my, like, they're just kind of like outs, backup plans, plan B, C, and D, or E, F, however many you have. Mine are local sales. Like, I haven't officially ventured into the cross listing, going out laterally, and part of it is I just don't know if Mercari and Poshmark are the platforms that my stuff's gonna sell on. I maybe it will, and maybe eventually I'll find out. I mean, I do, like I said, I do sell on this one comic related site, but basically I don't have to do anything. They just pull the items in. Whenever I sell something on their platform, I just have to take it down on mine. Excuse me. And they know that if if for some reason between that time that it also sells on eBay, they know that I'm always going to go to eBay and cancel on there. So they're pretty super chill about that. It's never happened, but yeah, that's one thing that I do. Number 2, I do comic book pressing for local dealers. I've been doing it for years. I do it for myself as well. And it's just like a little side gig. In fact, it was the thing that got me kind of like back into reselling, I guess you could say, but really got me into reselling. And then number 3, YouTube. YouTube is it's like a side gig. It's another avenue of revenue. Sounds like a sales pitch. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I can grow, but also there are, other benefits to being on YouTube as well, as you get to meet people and interact. I mean, I've already met some pretty amazing people on here, and I'm looking forward to seeing, and I've only not even been on the platform for 6 months. So it's exciting to see where this is going, because I don't even know where it's going. But have outs, and those outs are going to look different for everybody. And those outs are kind of like the things that I was mentioning, like leave in the comment section. So in the case eBay is watching, and they're reading the comments, and they're seeing what its sellers are doing now that they can't rely on the eBay platform like we could in the past. Number 3, the reset. The eBay reset that Jack and I showed you what we were doing. It has been, even though every time you do it, it sometimes it really, really performs well. Other times it doesn't. I don't know what the commonalities are. This was a sale of the reset tonight. I reset my store, and this guy put it in his watch list. I sent him out an offer. He bought it. It gets more interaction with buyers. It gives you the opportunity. Just tonight I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe what I should do is, when somebody puts, one of my items in their watch list, maybe instead of just sending out an arbitrary percentage off, maybe I should use that opportunity to research and see what the price is of that item, and then send the offer out. And if you don't know what the eBay reset is, what we're talking about, I will link that in the description box. I'm pretty sure most people know about the end and sell similar thing, and applying it to your entire store and doing it every 4 days. That's essentially it. But yeah, that has been, for me, a game changer in getting activity back into my store. Yeah. Okay, number 4, upsells. and it also depends on what you're selling at the same time. But like if somebody buys a comic, generally they're more inclined to add more if they aren't paying shipping and handling. And I mean that applies to a lot of categories. And I've upsold people locally as well. Just always think about what you have and what the customer might want. Like one time, this guy was coming to buy a Heineken soccer ball, and I just happened to look right beside me, and I had a Heineken baseball cap that I was getting ready to list. I took it out there, and I'm like, hey, do you have this? Are you interested in this? And he ended up buying it. People just recently bought an Indonesian mask for a play that they were making, not a play, a movie, something for their final school project, and then they actually asked me if I had anything else. And so, I took some time to go through my inventory. I knew I had some unlisted items that were in that genre. I just had to find them, and that's going to turn into another sale. So, upsells work in sales and anything. And if you're applying these strategies and you're able to turn a $10 item into a $10 sale into a $30 sale, that's win-win. You're doing the same work to ship it, and it's better to sell 4 items to one person than one item each to 4 different people. All right, this plush, it is a kind of cute, kind of creepy, not really. This brand, where is it? Sakaguchi. I always seem to have pretty good luck with this. It's new with tags. It sold for $34, that includes the shipping. These 2 comics sold for $30. It's kind of cool because they're connecting covers. And then I put a note on there. He wants me to put "Do Not Bend" on the package. This is a hat that the transport people. It's a crew hat from the filming of this. This sold for $48 including shipping. Yeah, anytime you can find a hat that was from the filming, those can do pretty well. That was 19 plus shipping, and I'm sorry, 19 including shipping. The governor of Alabama is a mother. And it's, you can see it's got wear on it, and it still sold for $20 including shipping. $14 including shipping. Chinese Cultural Center official opening. And then another keychain sold for $20 including shipping. Oh, and I have a local sale on their way right now in about 40 minutes. I'm just kind of cleaning out the basement. This, I don't know. I think I got this for nothing. I think I got this. I was helping somebody clean out their basement. And yeah, so this is gonna sell for $25. Another local sale. This is just for $10, but I only paid $1 for this at kind of like a local bin store. I don't know. It must have been like a year and a half or 2 years ago when I was starting to see the economy tightening. I was trying to buy or just add things to my store that people needed versus wanted, because I have a lot of wants in my store. And I did not know that there were so many issues with selling water filters on eBay. I just had no idea. I know a lot of people get zeros or counterfeit claims on these types of items. These companies really try to protect their intellectual properties and whatnot. So like when I went on YouTube and I started learning about these things, I just took them all down. And while they're very slow sellers locally, it's almost like a guarantee that somebody eventually is going to need something. So I have a bunch, and yeah, so $10. It is Saturday morning, well, afternoon now, like noon. Here's what I sold since last night. This Carousel Care Perfume. This is like my 4th bottle that I sold.
This was for $38 including shipping. I don't even know what hair perfume is. I remember the clerk at the thrift store I purchased this at asked me what it was, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. So eBay, this is Hip Comics sale. I don't like, this is the only thing that I cross list, and it's because I don't actually have to do anything. It pulls the items and mirrors them on their site. I just picked this up at the con for like, I want to say, I got it in a bundle deal. So probably about $4. It's Captain America 109. But it has some issues. It's not perfect. I think the spine is like detached or something, but it looks really good. This sold for $31 including shipping. This was eBay. This was eBay, $8 including shipping. A BioShock patch. Jennifer Lawrence Catching Fire. This sold for $24 including shipping on eBay. And then this is a local sale, baseball hat, local baseball team, A&W. This is selling for $25. I did not even bother listing this on eBay because it's like a local team, so I just feel I have pretty good success selling these things. And with the hat counterfeit bureaus and everything, I don't know. I'm a little gun shy about listing things that have like brands, and yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's just easier for me to sell this locally, and it's in really good condition. There's always going to be a fan of this team.
All right, number 5, experimentation. What I mean by that is, well, with the reset, we are now starting to see people kind of run different little experiments to see, maybe, for example, you could spread it out throughout the course of the day to see if that, does anything, gives you a bump. There's other little marketing aspects in the eBay back office. Like, for example, I have talked to a couple different people and they've had some promising results with the newsletter feature of eBay. I know I've seen it in there. I haven't had a chance to go in and dive into it. But there's things in the back office, and there's things like we can experiment with our pricing, lowering our prices in conjunction with the reset. Or, like, for example, something that I'm thinking about doing is the first of the month going in and maybe editing. You can bulk edit up to 2,000 listings at a time. And I might, in the first of the month, drop my prices a little bit each month to see if that does something. But like, just constantly experimenting, tinkering. And I don't love that we have to do that. It's more work, and it takes away from the actual business. But we're put in a position right now that we have to do these things. And so by doing them, it can lead to more sales. It can lead to more activity in your store. It's kind of just what we have to do right now. So number 6, I've pulled back on sourcing. And part of that is a conscious decision, but also I have a ton of inventory. And I haven't actually, like, I went out and did a little bit of sourcing over the weekend, and I didn't really find a whole lot. Like, I mean, I bought a few things, and I'm kind of happy about that. I'm kind of happy that, like, when I went to the big comic convention 2 weeks ago, I was expecting to spend a lot, because normally at this particular show, there's normally lots of deals to be had, and it just wasn't there. And I don't know, if the prices were just too high, or there really wasn't that much there that I was interested in buying. I didn't even go on the second day, which is kind of unreal for me. because I get in early. I just felt like I did everything that I needed to do on Saturday. So, and I haven't really come across any large collections lately, and I'm kind of happy about that, because if I did, I would feel compelled to buy it. You know, you buy when it's a good deal, regardless of kind of what's going on, because you know, if you know it's a good deal. And so I'm happy that I haven't been put in that situation. But yeah, I really have pulled back on sourcing, and so I don't have that expense on top of, you know, slower sales. So that's helping. Number 7, keep listing. Like, there's a lot of speculation that, you know, maybe resellers should pull back on listing, but I don't believe that. I actually have a theory that there's only, right now, there's kind of only 2 ways to really make a living on eBay, in my opinion. Number 1, you sell stuff with high sell-through rate. Not because I think that eBay only wants us to sell stuff at high sell-through rate, but if it has a high sell-through rate, it's gonna sell, right? Like, that's what things with a high sell-through rate is. So if you can find that, you could make a living off of that. If you can do it consistently, if you can find enough inventory of with a high STR. And then, in my opinion, the other way is to have a big store, a big store. Like, I've got 8,400 listings, and I think I probably need to increase my store by about 50%, because the more listings you have, the more chances you have to sell things. That's just my thinking. So that's why if I've decreased my listing recently, it's not because it's a conscious decision. It's because I'm being pulled in a couple different directions. Like, 1, with YouTube, 2, with having to do so much extra work on eBay to just try to get by. And then I'm also increasing my local sales, because I don't trust eBay as a platform right now. So before, it was just eBay, boom, 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 eBay, like tunnel vision, eBay. But now it's like, okay, I need to devote X amount of time to local sales, because eBay is just not, you know, it's just not working, in my opinion. It's not working right. But then I also, you know, I enjoy YouTube, and, you know, I see an opportunity to grow a community here, which could pay dividends in the future as well, not just through the monetization of YouTube, but through connections. And, you know, I met Jack. Jack introduced me to the reset. We shared it with you guys. I might not have ever learned about the reset had I not met Jack through my channel. So there's numerous benefits. Anybody who's thinking about starting a YouTube channel, just do it. I knew nothing about anything when it comes to, but here's what I did know. I did know that if I waited until everything was perfect, it would probably be a year from now. You know, if I went and I tried to get the perfect camera, or, you know, tried to learn about how do you grow a YouTube channel, or blah, 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 blah. You know, my YouTube channel is probably going to look a lot different 8 months from now, because I'll have learned things as I go. My channel already looks a lot different from it when it did back in May. Okay, so number 8. This is the last one. So for me, I take a little bit more time when I make a new listing. And when I say a little bit more time, I mean, I just take a little bit more time. Like, with the item title, I try to focus a little bit more on keywords than I did. And I already had previous keyword experience, but now I try to, I try to, for example, when I would list a button, I would just put button. But now I put button, pin back, because it, it gives me a better opportunity, because I don't know what the buyer is punching in when he's doing that search. I just little things like that, because I still believe the title is important. And what I'm not doing is going back and fixing my item specifics. And I know it's probably not the right thing to do, but I don't have the time to go back through my listings. I would rather them just eventually sell off, maybe through, discounts or, whatever. And we'll find out down the line whether this was the wrong strategy. I'm not in that mode where I want to go back and retouch all of my listings and fix them, and because I have shown you guys numerous things that have sold and the titles were just abysmal. They were just a train wreck. Like, I was just yesterday I showed you guys that Hunger Games poster that sold. I took a second look at the listing, and obviously the main actress name's Jennifer Lawrence. On the listing, I had Hennifer Lawrence. Hennifer. Yeah, and it still sold. So, and I probably had no item specifics in that, because I have been item specific minimalist forever. And I'm still, and so when I say that I'm taking a little bit more time with my listings when I create them, a little bit is really just, it's a little bit more than minimum. So those are my 8 reasons. If you care to share what you guys are doing in addition to, how you guys are, I'm not going to say that word. I'm not going to say that word that Ross says when he's carrying a couch up a flight of stairs, because I don't like that word. But yeah, how you have altered your behavior as a reseller to survive these times. I think it would be interesting to hear what you guys are doing. All right, so now I'm going to show you a couple what I think is kind of cool little pieces of art I picked up over the weekend. Very trippy. Looks like these would probably be best viewed on some psychedelic delicacies. But yeah, I love obscure. I love weird. I picked that up. And this is actually super awesome. It's just like a little mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's this one has a name on it, but I can't really make it out. So yeah, but I love obscure stuff. So something happened to a package of mine the other day. I don't know if this has ever happened to anybody. I uploaded the tracking number. A day later, the guy messages me and he's like, "Hey," "there's something wrong with the package. It got sent to the USPS Recovery Center." Has that ever happened to any of you guys? Basically, it looks as if something happened to the label. Maybe it became unreadable. I don't know what they did to my package. And I don't know why it couldn't have been a lower dollar item. I think it was like a $60 book. And the ironic part of it was this buyer had just created an account. He was a first-time buyer. Created an account just to buy this. It was a heavy metal magazine that was double signed that I showed you guys. So this was his first eBay experience. But I also thought it was super funny because he messages me, and then the next day I get back to him and I explain to him what's going on, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "now I know why you're 100% feedback." He's like, You know, even though I didn't resolve anything, it was just he appreciated the contact and the explanation. But it looks like it goes to this center. I went to USPS, signed in, filled out some documentation. If they can match that documentation up with the book, then they will forward it on to him. But so I asked him to give it a couple weeks to see if that process can resolve itself. I'm not counting that it's ever going to happen. But so what I think I'm going to do in the future is, and I haven't come up with that number. Maybe it's going to be like any package going out that's over $75. Maybe put labels on both sides. I don't know, like maybe over $100, because it's not something that I want. And I don't sell a lot of like really, really expensive items. So there's going to be a number where it makes sense to just slap 2 labels on the front and the back. Can anybody think of any other way to get around this? Like, I don't know. It's the first time that's ever happened to me. And maybe the fact that I've been selling for 11 years and this are 12 years now, I don't know. That it's never happened. Maybe it's not really an issue and I shouldn't even adjust anything. There's just always something, right? So I want to read some comments now. And I think I just have 5. Actually, this is a good way to segue into. Okay, so let's see, who was it? I didn't write the username down. Somebody said, I just sold an item for $400. They took 85 of that in fees. I'm also fuming that they can get away with charging us sellers fees on the taxes that the buyer pays. So I don't know exactly why I wanted to share that, but it's actually a good point because it segues into something else I wanted to talk about. Josh Galt, he sold something. He's been taking an absence last week, kind of taking some time away from YouTube. And he said he posted on his community section of the channel, and he uploaded a screenshot of the order total of an order that he did. He sold something for $21.49, and the selling costs broke down like this. Transaction fees, $270 US. The ad fees, $325 promoted listings. And he said they took $800 in fees off this sale. The listing was not promoted, but they said the buyer clicked on a promoted listing before buying that listing. Therefore, it counts as being promoted. You see, I was always under the impression that if that item is not being promoted, that it's not being promoted. But there was in the comment section, I said something about, they're feeing us to death. And maybe that was why I put that comment down about the taxes. And then me and another user, we were giving an exchange, and sorry. I made the comment about the sales tax should be structured differently, or it shouldn't be. And then somebody said, eBay can either fee you on the sales tax. Oh, Biff Buffalo. He says eBay can either fee you on the sales tax or they can get the same money by raising the base fee. To get so hung up on how they decide to take it is silly. Would you feel better if they stopped the sales tax fees and raised the base fee instead? Consider all the fees and then consider if eBay is worth it to you. Who cares how it's packaged? Focus on what's meaningful, the absolute cost of doing business. And then one of my responses to that was, if eBay is justifying charging the promoted listing fee on the tax because of the administrative costs that go on with processing that. I don't think it should be a percentage of the promoted fee of the taxes. So let me see if I can explain this. If something costs $10 and you're doing a promoted listings of 10%, so the $10, the tax on that would be, I don't know, $1.50, depending on where you're at. And then to take 10% off of that $1.50, it's not that much, right? It's going to be like 15 cents. But if it was a $2,000 item, it's going to be percentage wise more. But I have to believe that the cost that eBay has to do that transaction is the same. So I have had the stance since, I want to say spring or late spring, early summer, that promoted listings in its current state is going to be the demise of so many sellers because eBay is taking too much. I firmly believe that they are taking too much percentage wise. Like when you look at that, Josh, that sale that Josh had, and you look at the amount that is going to eBay for that, and I would be questioning, if they didn't do this erroneously. I would want some explanations, because how do you list something and guarantee that no promoted comes out of that? I mean, promoted is voluntary. I don't know how that. I wouldn't be surprised if they came back and fixed that, because that just doesn't seem right. But it's too much. It's too much in fees. And I'm only talking about the small percentage off of the tax. I think it's a bad look. I think it's so many people who I've explained that to, they're just universally, and these are not even resellers who think that is just not right. And I also believe that as shipping costs continue to go up and up and up every year, to charge that, on the final value fees and the promoted listing fees on the shipping in its current state, it's unsustainable. In my opinion, it is absolutely unsustainable. And it is actually causing me to not want to list items that are over £1 unless the profit margin on that justifies doing that. It's totally making me think long term about the kinds of items that I want to sell, because the fees are just too much. They're just too much. When our youngest was, when she was 10, I'm thinking around 10 is when she started, when they started playing basketball, maybe a little bit before that. But she played basketball all through elementary school, high school, university. And she was a star, throughout her whole entire career. And when I say star, I mean she set the record for most assists at her university, and it still stands today. And she didn't just beat it; she smashed it. She smashed it by 35%. But when Maria and I, when we would watch the games, I would do something called I would call it. And what that means is when the score, after the second half, and so in the late third or fourth, or at some point, I would be like, okay, I'm calling it. Our daughter's team is going to win, or our daughter's team is going to lose. So we would be watching. It would be a tight game, and Maria's like, "Are you going to call it?" And I'm like, "Let me see the next few possessions." And you judge momentum, you judge, the gap of the score, how much time's left, and I would weigh a bunch of factors. And generally when I called it, I was like, and Maria, if you're watching this, let me know. I can't think of too many instances where I called it and I was wrong. And that's generally because I'm conservative. So I would wait until I was fairly comfortable that when I called it, that would be the outcome of the game. I feel like calling it that promoted listings are in its current state, in its current form. It's gonna be the downfall of eBay, in my opinion. I firmly believe that. Now, that's not to say that they can't revise it, and because I just don't believe. I've heard so many resellers or who are on YouTube or people who are commenting on YouTube channels, and they constantly say how promoting at a higher rate doesn't actually yield more results. And if you think about that, how is that possible? How can, like, the whole premise of advertising is to, pay to have your merchandise seen, which translates into more sales. So how can promoting at a higher rate not inevitably lead to more sales? So the very fact that so many people echo that same sentiment or experience, it leads you to question so much about the promoted listings, the quality of the impressions that you are getting, and then they introduced the whole pay per click thing, which is completely ridiculous. To think that you're going to pay a fee to when somebody clicks on your ad and it might not translate into a sale. That is just, I don't know what group of people came up with that idea at eBay, but that's a horrible idea. So anyhow, I've gone off on a massive tangent, and I apologize. But let's go back to that comment that I was reading. Oh, I also so Biff Boffo, he also this is a good comment. Wall Street knows 1,000% when GMV losses are propped up by an advertising revenue, as well as the long-term prospects for this scenario. You don't have to be a Nobel-winning economist to see that hemorrhaging sellers while squeezing the remaining ones is a losing endgame. Just what I was just. That was a perfect segue. That's why eBay's price dropped 10% today of its last earnings report, despite beating predictions. eBay's all smoke and mirrors right now. I thought it would take the Q3 earnings report to put eBay stock below 40, but it has already happened now. I don't know how bad it's going to get. By the end of the week, everyone who promotes their listings is essentially voting for the CEO. It's funny, when I see people complaining about eBay while mentioning in the same breath that they promote their listings, people lament a 20% increase in groceries, yet they will voluntarily double their eBay fees during tough times. It's all very lazy. If you can't learn to survive without promoted listings, your own future is bleak. You'll be giving away eBay 50% before you know it. Now, my nose is itchy. I disagree with, I agree and I disagree at the same time with him. I agree that we shouldn't promote, and yet I promote a little bit above the minimum because I feel like when I don't promote, my store is even like I legit feel fear that I will get no sales. So I know that I'm playing right into their hands. Like, I know this, but I also know that the times that I've stopped promoting, and maybe I didn't give it long enough, right? Some people say, I've heard that you need to kind of be out of the promoted listings campaign for 30 days before your store will normalize, or like, I don't know. I mean, I maybe someday I'll test that. Maybe someday I'll test it when sales aren't at a premium like they are now. is there anybody out there who promoted and then stopped and can say my sales got better after I stopped promoting? And so as much information as you can give, like store size, what you were promoting at, what caused you to stop, like all of these things would be helpful for other people who are thinking about doing stopping promoted listings. Maybe you'll get me to stop promoted listings. Okay. Blurox1 says, hi Jeff, another update from us on the sell. Similar action was doing all you put on your videos. However, for us, I tweaked it a little because I noticed a drop off of my impressions and on a page views after a day or two. So instead of doing a total 7,000 resets, so he had 7,000 in his item, in his store, every 4 days of 3,500 resets, dividing my store into two and submitting them 4 days apart. What I'm currently doing, and it has been working for me, is I do about 1,000 items every single day. So far, the impressions are up every single day since doing it, and page views is also up. So in a way, I am resetting 1,000 items every day. Funny though, some days there is no action at all, and then for about an hour or two is when we make sales. And this strategy is a little similar to what Jack was doing, and then at some point he just realized, like, the more I do, the more I get. So he was just like, let's just do it all. And I think for people who have really big stores, like when each of my stores get to a point, like right now, it's cumbersome and a little annoying every time I have to do it, because I have to set aside at least a good solid hour it takes me, because I'm slow doing it because I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to delete 200 listings by accident, or I don't want to end 200 into the 200 unsold category and have to go through and sort out which ones that I list and which ones that I didn't. So, I don't like having to do that, but again, this is what we're doing. But like little strategies like this too, it's good for people to try and share the information, and it will give other people ideas on how they can best do the reset with their store. So Paul Carl Cards says, I have a bunch of new inbox Legos from before I specialized in cards. I used to sell them on Amazon, but stopped because buyers would steal the minifigures and open and return. So I started listing them at Q4 on eBay instead. Was going to list them on eBay again this year. So he listed them last year. But I have them at my antique mall booth, and they have been doing really well. For this Q4, I upgraded my booth to a bigger and better location, and I'll be selling my $5,000 to $10,000 worth of Legos there instead of eBay and Amazon. And I'll even make more profit this way too, despite selling them at a lower price. I still have my card lots on eBay, but I'm not a full-time reseller. I've been using my eBay time to just do shipping, maybe list a few things, but the rest I'm putting into doubling down on my antique mall booth for Q4 instead. Feels weird, LOL. So this is a good example of somebody who is adjusting to life on eBay in its current state and deciding it is not worth it for me to put all of this $5,000 to $10,000 worth of inventory. It's just not worth it to him. These are the kinds of stories that I think eBay needs to hear. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they absolutely do not give a crap about losing out on potential profits. But if they don't care, if current management does not care that it's missing out on profits at a massive seller base level, they are not doing their shareholders justice. So maybe And just maybe the shareholders will catch a whiff of these kinds of actions. I don't know, but I believe that it is important for us to voice our concerns. It's important for them to know what they're missing out. If I'm eBay, I want those $10,000 worth of Legos on my platform. You know why? Because Legos sell. Legos sell really well. Okay. Albert Starr says, I have 3,000 listings in my store, but I have cut way back on buying from eBay because the listing pages are too cluttered with promoted items. Having to search through all of that mess is taking from my listings time, so it makes more sense to just say, forget it. All right, there's two things I want to talk about this particular comment, and thank you for sharing that. Everybody who posts, who likes, subs, comments, thank you all. I greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't fed that YouTube algorithm right now, please do that. I was looking at my YouTube statistics, and there are a lot of people who watch my videos and are not subbed. So if you could subscribe, if you're still here after I don't know how many minutes I've been talking and rambling on, and if you're still here, you obviously like this content. Please give it a like, sub, do all the things. I sold a card tonight. Just a little, I think it was a magic card. I don't really have many, but I bought a collection of like other things, and there were a few of these in there. It's only $6. He made me an offer. I accepted. 5 minutes later, he canceled. His reason? I found a cheaper one. I have to believe that he probably saw another one on my own page. Thank you, eBay. I appreciate that. Polish Pete said something, and he does amazing work. If you haven't checked out his channel, give him some love. He does, like, I kind of like talk about experimentation. That guy really does experimentation, like notes, months long experiments and detailed, very scientific, very analytical guy. But he was talking about how eBay wants to clean up the site. Basically, how eBay feels that, well, he doesn't know how eBay feels, but he was speculating that eBay felt, and I hope I'm paraphrasing this right, Pete, but he was saying that if people have too many choices, that they choose nothing. And that could be one theory why eBay wants to declutter its website, like take, for whatever reason. Now, I agree and I disagree with him at the same time. Here's why I agree with him. I find that when I go to restaurants these days, I hate having to decide what I want because there's so many choices. But Maria is just the same. She's the opposite. She loves having all these choices. She knows what she wants. She knows exactly what she wants, and thank God she knows exactly what I want. So I just let her order, and I'm okay with that. And I'm just like, you just order. It's exhausting. Like it is exhausting sometimes trying to figure out what you want, what I want. Maybe you're different. So I agree with him to some degree, but here's where I disagree. And I was thinking about this tonight is, if you think about the way your page is set up, you've got your listing, your title, and then underneath it, eBay is showing you your buyer competitive, items of the same thing that you're selling, which is so bad. It is so not what you want to do, eBay. And I've talked about this. Show items that go with the item that they're buying. Do not put other people's stuff on my page. It's not classy. It's shady. It's just wrong. And here's why it's wrong. And it's not wrong because it's bad for me. It's bad because you've got that, and then you've got the description, and then below that you've got more items that you're trying to sell. You're presenting too many options for the buyer. This is exactly what this commenter is saying. And I firmly believe that it's damaging to it is damaging to our stores. I saw that tonight. But it's also, it's a poor, in my opinion, it's a poor buyer experience. Like, there's a way that you can do it and not bombard the buyer with all these different choices, because you're going to get a buyer who does nothing too. Like that could happen. So, Ty Johnson says, I'm having an issue with the reset. I recently changed my shipping to free. Every time I reset all my shipping, it is changed back to plus shipping. Has that happened to anybody? I mean, you would have had to have done the exact same thing, but I mean, I would say don't change your shipping to free. I mean, I am a huge advocate to not offer free shipping, but everybody's got to do what is best for them. But yeah, I don't know. I would contact eBay. I would say I would take one listing that I changed to free, end it, sell similar, that one listing, see what happens. If it changes it back to whatever it was, ask eBay, why is this happening? How can we fix that? Well, I think that's it. I thought I had more, but I think that's all I got for today. I hope everyone had a great weekend and good things to come this week, hopefully. Take care, everyone, and we will talk soon.